Well, vaccination rates and progress towards the National Cabinet targets have been really quite different between different states. A quarter of people in Tasmania, or just shy of that, are fully vaccinated with both doses now. In WA, that number is 16.3%. And the pace of vaccination is varying as well, according to the state that you're in. The ACT, it has the highest per capita vaccination rate at the moment. New South Wales is not far behind though, 66,000 doses or more going into arms every day on average, and that has been surging and continues to surge since the lockdown began. But what we've also learned today with some new figures from the Federal Health Department is that the vaccination rate varies within cities, and by in some places by quite a large margin. Here's for a selection of places around the country, regions, the percentage of people over 15 who have had their first dose. Bendigo is the top of the list, 52.6% of the people of the population in that region over 15 have had their first dose. The rest of these, this is not an ordered list, just a selection of regions, but we've seen high rates as well as in Bendigo and Geelong, and then inner parts of Sydney, Hobart, Melbourne, northern beaches of Sydney, all with relatively high first dose vaccination rates compared to the rest of the country. Where we're seeing low rates though, well, for one, in the outback in Queensland and WA, very low vaccination rates for a first dose. Also regional Queensland areas, and then some of the parts of the country, Ipswich, Logan, southwest Sydney and parts of Melbourne as well, that suffered through the second wave last year the most. Those sorts of areas where if Delta is seeded, it's more likely to cause a big outbreak than some of the inner city wealthier areas where we know that we've seen that outbreaks don't take off quite as quickly. That's a problem. 33.1% of people in southwest Sydney over 15 have their first dose. And really, the New South Wales government has made vaccinating people in that part of the city one of its priorities in bringing these case numbers down. More than 200 cases a day. The lockdown by itself is not working. Contact tracing is struggling at this point to keep up with the cases. Up to 118 of today's cases weren't isolated for their full infectious period. That includes the cases where we just don't know the isolation status as of 11 o'clock this morning. So with that operating less effectively than you'd like, the lockdown on top of that, definitely reducing the growth in the curve, but not yet bending the curve. Well, the government's hoping vaccination rates will help put some more downward pressure. Every dose does make a difference, but at the moment, that part of the city where most of the cases are, well, they're behind in the vaccination rate compared to the wealthier areas and the inner city areas.